Hello and welcome back, this is ProTaleDev, back with another Dungeon Architect video. What we're going to be showing today is the crafting that I've been working on mainly. I also did a little bit of save data, so I'm just going to show that. It's going to be a bit of a shorter video. So the first thing I did is just a minor thing, which is I fixed the adventurer's time leaving. It wasn't actually working, so now it's been reduced. I'm also calculating based on ones per second as opposed to 60. Using the update function. I've changed a lot of the update functions to be a lot more in keeping with at least 1 second or more. That way there's not a lot of repeating code, a lot of loops going on. So the other thing is that rotation for all of the dungeons is done. Like some of the bigger ones weren't working correctly, they're all finished. The next thing is that the mesh surface is now updating for the NPCs every 5 seconds as opposed to once every 1 second or so for every object at the same time, every NPC at the same time. The other thing is that what you can see over here is the boat is done. So I've updated the boat. Before it was just a cylinder, now it's actually finished. And there it is. So you can see we got our little boat here now, and that's just to add a little bit of extra to it. Once it's done, it'll just move off, and it's just more of a visual thing. The NPCs before would just go to a specific building and they would just stand there. Now when they go there, if you can just look at this guy, he just disappears once he gets close enough to the center. And they'll do that for all of the buildings now, so it's a little bit more genuine that they've gone into these dungeons and buildings. I've added some slight colours to the ground as well, and just adds a little bit of texture to the ground. So we got the lighter one, which is exposed, the medium, which surrounds the lighter one, and then we got the darker one, which is for lower ground. Or the next thing is that the character XP is now saved, and their level has been saved. So your character experience script, the level experience, and the experience to the next level. These three integers are all saved now on the save and load script. Now, I'm not going to show it because I already showed it in the last video, but basically it's just those three integers that have now been saved. So the next thing to talk about is the crafting. So I actually spent most of my time on the crafting for both the potions and weapons. So I've completely redesigned it so it looks completely different, and I've also completely added the information for them. I've redesigned a lot of the script to make it a lot more efficient and better, and I've done quite a lot of things to it. So first of all, the design. The design is you can see we've got the recipe book, the recipes, and whatever level you are, and then you've got the main item in the middle, the icon of what you've selected. This is just the default icon. We got the information box, and then we got our station right here, which is our crafting. Tells you what you need and then you just choose what you want to craft, how much you want to craft. So to start off with, right here, as I just mentioned, we got our levels now. So our levels are just in our character levels, and this means you're going to have to go into a dungeon to unlock these and build up your levels, as opposed to what we had before, which was reputation. I didn't like the idea of these being reputation as well as level. A reputation is really determines also if you can do certain buildings, and reputation is very much not related to the entering a dungeon or adventuring into dungeons. And so I wanted levels to be that kind of thing that measures what you can craft. Now at the moment you can see that everything is unlocked here, but these are actually going to be blocked off by locked panels, should I say. So the reason for that is because I've been experimenting and testing, but these will actually not show them when you're actually playing. So if I just want to go into here just to show it, and I go into our crafting, what I can do is I can just turn this back on. So as you can see, these will all be locked until you actually have a certain level. So if I were to quickly change my character's level a second, just make it over 50, you'll see that these will all update, and now we can interact with them. Of course we can have them way less than that, just have 32 for example, and this will update to these being locked. And it's the same thing for the weapons and when I show them. So we can click on this and it will change. The other thing I want to quickly mention is the animations. So I've added some new animations for buttons. It's just slightly, it's just better than just having them colored. So now there's a little bit of animation. They'll just scale them a little bit, and you can see here with this example it's just scaling, but also the color is changing to yellow, and then when it's selected it's red, just as a little bit of animation. It makes it look a little bit nicer. So let's say we select this vial here, this health, just to see what it is. So weak health potion, and then you see a vial of pure red liquid with a savoury taste, and then the actual effect, which is it just helps you to recover and heal the body. So you can see we selected it, we got it pressed. What you can also see how much it is, how many resources it's going to take, and then we can click and craft it. At the moment you can just craft it no matter what, because I haven't set the conditions to be able to craft it. But what you're going to be able to do is just click on this. It'll start crafting. You'll see a little animation right here that shows it's being crafted, and you'll have this sort of bar which fills up, and this is just another way of knowing that it's crafting, how long you've got left. While that's happening, what I'm going to do is I'm going to switch to weapons. So we have the same thing, these are all unlocked. What we can do is we can select, in this case we got a dagger, and you can also see this how much we got. In a minute this will change when I craft this. This one won't, as you can see it's about to finish, it's done, but none of the resources were actually taken from food or water. So what we can do here is we have wood and we have iron, so we can do the same thing. We can choose our different weapons, which all have names now and information as well as stats. So we can click this, which is our dagger, and it's the Stalker's Talon. We know we have enough resources. We have wood and iron. It's 1 wood and 3 iron, and what we can do is we can just craft it. Now I believe it's 30 seconds that I've put bow crafting on. I don't know if I'll change that, but 30 seconds seems fine, fair enough. As you can see, it's slightly different. So we have a hammer, this time hitting it, it's having a little bit of movement, and then we got the bar underneath, which is slightly different. So there we go, it's finished, we've crafted it, and as you can see we're now on 49 and only 22 iron. Now what about if we craft 5? So if we craft 5, the same thing will happen, it'll craft it. However, this should drop down by times 5 the amount. So this is, I've just clicked on the times 5 this time, and it's about to finish, and this should drop down by times 5 the amount. So there we go, we just used a bunch of wood, and we just used a bunch of iron. Now if we go into our character and we check it, you do have to switch them because it doesn't automatically update when you open the character inventory, but I'm going to change that. As you can see, we have 6 talons. Another thing is that some of the designs for the buttons has also changed, so this bar up here is slightly different. We also have some slight difference to this one down here, and slight difference to this one, which is a little bit darker, just to help with the colour difference. Now a very quick look at the script. So let's just look at the potion one because it's a little bit shorter. I'm just going to move this over for now. First of all, we determined what the lock is based on our level. It just cycles through this. Then if there's a certain crafting active. Now I've gone through a lot of the script already in the past, but if it's active or not, it'll determine if it's counting down the bar timer, which will activate a specific crafting once it hits 0, and I've of course reset it. It also cycles through a for each loop, just to get all of the icons for the result to be disabled before they activate them, which they do get disabled on this for some of them that aren't disabled already. We also have down here our multipliers for crafting, so 1, 3 and 5, and these are activated based on what buttons we click. And we also got have all of our crafting. So this is what gets activated after the crafting is finished. So depending on what we've clicked on and selected, if it matches the same selection, what it'll do is it'll actually take those items out if you have enough for them. And then down here we actually have the selection, so mouse over, it's actually our selection. So when we select it, it updates all of our information, our resources, it sets all of our icons to false. And it gives us all the information we need, as well as determines what number essentially our ID is for our potion, which is what we use to craft it. Then we have our for loop here, which determines our icons, which icons of the result should be active when the crafting period is active. So it cycles through all of our array, +1 because it also our I starts at 0, but we don't have an icon for 0. And we don't have a number, an ID for 0, but we do have a icon for 0. So I have +1 here for the I that it cycles through, and just so that the number and the amount of icons matches. And then when it's equal to it, it'll determine if it's the correct icon that's on it, matching the number, it'll determine if it's true. We also have the craft selection, which is just determining which crafting should activate based on its number ID. Okay, so that is everything. That's all of the crafting and everything else that I've worked on. But I'm actually going to have another look at disasters, probably the last time, potentially next week or the week after. And it'll be the last time I look at them to try and get them all working and visuals done. And then I'll be moving on to going into dungeons and fixing all of the mobs, the attacking, and doing all of that stuff. So this has been ProTaleDev, and I'll see you next time.